So, you're thinking about having sex for the first time and you're not sure if you're ready for it.
Come on.
So, today's video, we're going to be having the sex talk. So, welcome back to my channel, guys. It's Simisola.Ade, and of course, like I've already said, we are going to be having the sex talk. So, I came up with 6 questions to ask yourself to figure out if you're ready for sex. And this decision is completely 100% up to you. So as I ask these questions, I want you to cancel out everybody else's opinions. Don't care what society says, don't care what the TV says, don't care what that stranger down the street is trying to tell you. And answer these questions as honestly as you possibly can. And I really would suggest and recommend writing down the answers so that you could really get your thoughts out. Disclaimer: this video is only for mature audiences. If you are under 16, you can still watch the video for educational purposes, but this is not directed towards you. If you're 16 to 18, I'm still kind of iffy. I'm 21, but you know, in this day and age, you guys are relatively grown and you guys are starting to make important decisions about your life. So I do think this is an important video for you as well. Now, I'm not encouraging underage sex whatsoever. Do what you will with this information. Well, this is for people who are old enough to consent to sex. Again, I'm in no way encouraging underage sex. And if you're not sure if you're underage, you might not, this video is probably not for you, but check your state laws. So let's go ahead and jump to the video and start my first question. So the first question is what? Yep, simple as that, what? What does sex mean to you? Now, all of these questions I can't answer for you. These are just to get the ball rolling. So what does sex mean to you? Is it something you simply just want to experience because you're curious about it, you want to know what it's like? Or is it something of very high value to you? Are other things more valuable to you than sex? Is it a symbol of love or just of pleasure? Determining how you define and how you view sex can shape whether or not you're ready. For example, if you do put sex way up there with a lot of value and you want it to be something, you know, between you and somebody who loves you and who you'll be with for the rest of your life, it determines whether you should be having it now or if you should wait to find a greater, stronger love than you may have that you may not have experienced yet. Now, if you don't value sex as much and you don't want it to be, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you're in love with and that you're going to marry. That also plays a role in figuring out whether or not you're ready to have sex. So once you figure out what sex personally means to you, you can start thinking about if you're ready to have it. But you can't have that conversation with yourself until you know what sex means to you. The second question is, who? If you're in a relationship, would you be content with losing your virginity? Let's not even say losing your virginity. Having your first sexual experience. I don't like that negative connotation. Would you be content with having your first sexual experience be with the person you're already romantically involved with? Would you regret it later on? Do you trust this person? Do you think that years down the line when you look back, you would feel happy about this decision for it to be with that person, or would you simply not care? And if you're not in a relationship, do you have maybe a trustworthy friend that you want to share that experience with? Someone that you can have an intimate moment with and feel comfortable? And if you don't want to have that experience with a friend, are you content with potentially having it be with someone that you don't really know that well? That all goes back to how much value you put on sex and what sex means to you. If you don't have that much value on it, then you might be okay with having your first sexual experience with someone that you don't know. In fact, that might be better for you. You have that experience, you move on from it, and you continue with your life. I know plenty of people who just wanted to have the experience and see what it was like and kind of claim their sexuality and be empowered by it. And so they had their first sexual experience with someone that they didn't really know or they didn't really have a personal connection with. Whereas some people, they want it to be incredibly memorable, so they want it to be with someone they're in a relationship with. Both ends of the spectrum are perfectly okay. It's up to you. Remember, all these questions are based on what you need. But just think about who is in your life right now, and if you would feel happy sharing that moment with someone in your life or someone who's not in your life. So the third question is, where? Do you have dreams or a fantasy sequence in your head where it's in this beautiful, luxurious hotel with rose petals scattered all over the bed, and your Prince Charming walks into the room and he's in this beautiful suit and he sprayed beautiful, expensive cologne? Or do you not put that much weight on it? Do you simply not care where it is because to you, the experience, the feeling, the pleasure is more important than the location? If you want it to be something romantic, you might have to wait a little bit longer for that to happen, especially if you're not quite in a relationship yet. But if you are in a relationship, then it's going to take a little bit of work talking to you and your partner to try to make that romance occur. And even then, realistically speaking, it might not be completely feasible. We have fantasies in our heads of how we like things to happen, but it doesn't always happen. So, is the location important to you when you have your first experience? Or is the experience itself most important? And if you still want it to be romantic, which is fine, is it possible in your life where you are right now? You just might have to wait a little bit longer. How? Do you want it to be spontaneous or do you want it to be something planned? Do you want to know that it's coming or just have it happen naturally and organically? Some people like things more planned and some people don't. But again, the way you want this to be can kind of determine how feasible it is for this to occur. You might not be in a point in your life for it to happen yet, and you might again have to wait a little bit longer. Do you want it to be where you can just have hours and just cuddle afterwards and take your time? Or do you just want to get it over with? If it's something planned, that's going to take some communication between you and whichever partner you choose to make that happen. And then if you want it to be spontaneous, you're going to have to be in the right kind of environment for that spontaneity to occur. Whether it's hanging out with your significant other or hanging out with the person you're crushing on or whatever, for that opportunity to come up. You really have to figure out what these questions, the answers are for you so that you can really evaluate what is important to you and what isn't. How you perceive your first time to be while also still being realistic of how it might be. One of the most important questions, and I think there's two main important questions, is when. Do you feel like you're at a mature enough age, or are you at a mature enough age to be able to handle the consequences of sex? Whether it be, pregnancy or STD or getting caught having sex, or which a lot of people don't consider, the emotional ramifications that may or may not occur depending on who you are as a person. Do you feel like if you were to have sex now, you would instantly fall in love with that person and you wouldn't be able to let them go? Are you at a place emotionally where you're able to engage in this activity without placing or projecting your feelings into another person? This also depends on where you are in your self journey or your spirituality. Are you at a point in your life where you can handle having a new experience that may or may not impact you more or less than you expect? Are you at a point where you're able to reflect internally and think about the experience if you choose to and be okay with that? Just, do you truly believe that you are mature enough to be able doing something that's very grown and adult and mature? And would you be able to handle the whole realm of repercussions that may come with it? The single most important question, I really can't emphasize this enough, is why. I'm going to pause right here and just let you think for like 10 seconds, maybe 5. Why? Why do you want to start having sex? Because somebody else told you you should? Is it because your partner is pressuring you to? Is it because society told you to? Is it because you just feel like you should be having it? Or is it because you're curious about it? Or you feel like you're ready to take the next step in your relationship? Or you're ready to experience something new? I think the why is the most fundamental question here, and that'll really give you an indication as to whether or not you're ready. Because if your why is based off of internal personal reasons, then you're more likely to be ready. But if your why is based on other people, then you might need to take a step back and reevaluate things and consider that maybe you're not as ready, and that's fine. And then, of course, religious aspects come into play, and I'm not trying to go too heavy into it. This is not supposed to be a preachy kind of video. But where you are, like, with what your religious values and cores also play a role into this. And I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory. I am a Christian. I don't think that it can be just, I'm following the rule and the Bible says this, or my parents told me this, therefore I'm going to do it. Like, I feel like there needs to be more purpose behind it. Otherwise, you're just doing what you're told, and it's not because you've personally made that decision. Also, just a bonus tip. A lot of the time, your body will tell you if you're ready or not. It really will. You cannot lie to your body. So even if you think you're ready, and I have friends who thought they were ready to have sex the first time, and then they started messing around the night of, and their body just wouldn't let them continue. Their body let them know, hey, you're not as comfortable with this as you thought you were. You're not as ready as you thought you were. That's okay. But I'm just letting you know, not tonight. But I got you in the future. Just take a step back and reevaluate. You really can't lie to your body. You really cannot. Our bodies are so intricate and intellectual, and there's just so much happening that you can't lie to it. Now, some people are better liars than others, but a lot of us can't lie. A lot of us can't lie, period. So these are just a few questions to help you come up to a decision. Of course, I can't tell you the answer, and I don't mean to guide you with any of these questions in a way to say, okay, you are ready, you're not ready, you are ready, you're not ready, because I can't tell you. I really hope these questions help you as you figure out whether or not you're ready to engage in sexual activity. These questions are just here for you to ask yourself and kind of evaluate where you are in your path to becoming sexually active or not.